We're trying to really elevate creators so they can grow faster, create better, create smarter, and connect more deeply with their fans.
Can AI give every creator their own virtual team? Hello and welcome to TechFirst. My name is Koetsier. The creator economy is exploding with at least 50 million creators. I think it's more than that. I've seen hundreds of million. I don't even know. I've even seen 303 million, which is kind of crazy maybe. But there's a market size as well of like $250 billion this year. Burnout is exploding as well, though. Over half of creators say they're exhausted. Audiences always want more. And half of creators say they can't keep up. What if AI could help? What if AI could do all the annoying, tough, fiddly little details and creators could just do what they do best and create? That's what RHEI's new platform, MAID, promises. It's a dream team of AI agents designed to elevate human creativity, not automate it. To chat, we have the founder and CEO, Shahrzad Rafati. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and very excited about the conversation that we're going to be having, and excited to tell you about our launch with MAID today, which is, we're hoping is going to be a game-changing platform for the creator economy.
Cool. I hope so too. I'm in the creator economy. I'm a YouTuber as well as writing for Forbes. So that's important. It's cool stuff. Maybe let's start here. I mean, obviously you look for pain points if you're going to deliver a solution. What's the worst part about being a creator?
Every creator has to go about wearing multiple hats every day, from being an operator to a designer to a distributor to a community manager to a director, producer. And that's exhausting. I mean, if you think about it, you look at the numbers, about 2/3 of the content creators feel some level of burnout. And I think this is why, we're excited about launch of MAID, because it's a personalized, proactive, AI teammate and a group of teams that, play that, kind of in terms of supporting you with every element of your creative process, from strategy to your day-to-day creative executions. And what it ultimately does, it frees the creator to focus on their unique vision and craft. So we're definitely not replacing human creativity, which is very important to note, but we're trying to really elevate creators so they can grow faster, create better, create smarter, and connect more deeply with their fans.
It's basically like running a startup, right? I mean, like, and I've done a bunch of those, and you have to wear so many hats because you don't have enough people, you don't have enough resources to do all the different things. So you're a creator, and you maybe you're really good at doing your creative thing, but maybe you're not great at the other parts and the other components. So that makes it really challenging. Okay, cool. So
I
it is
like that, actually.
challenging.
You know what, Jack? I really like what you said, because if you think about it, creators are like yourself. They're really like visionaries and chiefs. Like, they're creator CEOs. And, what we want to do is we want to finally liberate them from the tyranny of, scale and logistics. So what you want to really think about is you want to forget this solopreneur that is drowning in a sea of execution. And what we like to reference, how we actually usually talk about MAID, is just this agentic organization of one, where like a
Mhm.
single human soul can actually command like a tireless, perfectly aligned digital C-suite that is very much so, you can think of it as the agentic force that we have built. But what is also important is that, I think for the longest time, we've been talking about decentralization of media and the media power. But I think it's not just that. It's not just from a network to individuals, but it's from really burden to pure creation. And I think that if
Mhm.
you can think of it as if generative AI is just that commodity electricity grid of intelligence, which is we're all using some sort of foundational model. We've made really the goal and the idea and the vision is it's the proprietary microreactor that runs the human spirit and the human
Huh.
soul.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So there's multiple components here, multiple agents that you've given names and everything like that. Let's go through the pieces. Let's talk about them. What are the components and pieces?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are obviously very excited about the initial launch of our core subscription platform, which really includes 3 agents. Milo, which is the creative director. And, really, if you think about Milo is that creative collaborator that is helping creators to grow from that initial concept to really polish ready content. It knows you. It knows, for example, you create content every Tuesday. So when you come to the platform, it knows your passion points, your interests, the audience. It understands the trends. And it really, what it does, it eliminates the creative block by generating and developing, ideas with you. So you can actually just really elevate your creativity. It also, what we like about it is that, good content creators, as you know, they need to do research. They need to understand what's the latest on trends. Milo does that for you, and it also takes on a range of tasks that creators spend a lot of time doing, and that not necessarily they like spending time working on those tasks. Like if you think about optimizing the metadata, optimizing the thumbnails. One of my favorites, and I hope that you get to try it, is really the thumbnail generator. It allows you to kind of really create tailored thumbnails, and
The
all of
bane
this
of
is
my
done in your
existence.
voice and your based on your audience.
I hate creating thumbnails. I think I've gotten somewhat good at it right now, but every time that I look at something that others have created, I'm thinking, holy man, I'm costing myself half my traffic by not having great thumbnails. Cool. So what other components are there?
I just also want to talk about Zara, the community manager, which is it's certainly one of my favorite agents, because what it does, it focuses on building and nurturing, your community. And it's important because if you think about it, with social media, we went from this era of like one-to-many relationship where you would post a video and you have thousands and, tens of thousands of comments, and really creators don't have the ability to spend time. Even if you're an established creator and you have a social media manager and a community manager, you really don't have the time to really analyze the audience sentiment, the comments, understand who's a super fan, who's an anti-fan. And really with Zara, what we wanted to do is we wanted to create meaningful connections between creators and their fandom. So then you ultimately are building loyalty, you're rewarding loyalty, and you're really building this true authentic relationship with your fandom. And I think it ultimately allows you to create better content, right? And understand what your audience wants to consume, and really fine tune the value proposition of your channel and the content that you're creating for your target audience.
Super cool. It's one of the best parts of generative AI, honestly, is being able to just feed it a whack load of stuff and get kind of a summary of, hey, this is what people are thinking, or this is what the sentiment is, and all that stuff. I've done that in a bunch of different areas, and that's super useful. I guess the question somebody's going to have is, okay, these are agents. That's great. Can I just replicate it all with ChatGPT?
With respect to MAID versus generative AI, like really the creative crisis is that generative AI is really taking the chore. But what we wanted to do with MAID, we wanted to elevate the core. And what do I mean by that? It's really like, Jack, it's a non-negotiable difference. Why? Because if you think about agentic kits, they're the framework that let developers, and I'm a computer scientist, so I get it. They let developers really play and create and build. So what, really the foundational models, what they're providing is really, they're selling you like raw lumber and blueprints. And they require developers still to be able to spend the time to be able to fine tune things. And again, it's not in your tone, it's not in your voice, it's not necessarily personalized based on your goals, your objectives. And I think what we have built is we built certainty. We really have built a finished, purpose-built machine. And I think what's important is that kind of like the difference, how I see it, that we have replaced the commodity grid with really proprietary micro reactor, as we just talked about, that really runs that human creativity, the human soul, the spirit. And this is done through a very much so a hyper specialized agents. And I think if you kind of want to think about it even deeper, I think there are really three elements to this as far as the core differentiator. One is, if you kind of think about it, it's just that alignment over generalization. Whether if we're talking about Milo or if it's Zara, or other agents, they're trained on like the proprietary data mode, like the creator's unique voice, your ethical boundaries, your historical performance. So their success is actually very much so codependent on your and the human's authentic flourishing, not generative and a general human knowledge, right?
Hmm.
And I think the second thing that, I talk about this with our chief product officer, Lewis, quite a bit, is really the outcome over orchestration. We don't wait for a prompt. Our agents really run autonomous workflows. And why is that important? This is not about replacing human creativity. This is not about putting a prompt and getting a Sora video in return, but it's about running autonomous workflows that are specific, that are revenue aligned, that really eliminate that uncreative element of the creator workflow. It's the 80% of the work that you do, whether that is the SEO, whether that is the community filtering, whether that is trend analysis. So you're really freeing the human to focus 100% on that core vision.
Hmm.
And I think ultimately, what we really call is the agentic organization of one, because they're also, like, if you just look at the last year, there were 7,000 AI companies that came to launch, different and solve different, parts of problems that exist, whether if it's existing problems or new problems. The way we look at this is really the agentic organization of one, and what I mean by that is we really give the individual creator the efficiency of that Fortune 500 company. So they're not like these solopreneurs, they're actually visionary CEOs that are working with this incredible C-suite of, kind of agents that have that great alignment with them. So I think those are like really I think the three key pillars that are different. But it's also, as like, let's not forget that, our customers are the creator CEOs, which are the visionaries, and they're not technical analysts or developers. So when you think about the agentic kits and what you get through, for example, generative AI, they're built for either very much so general outputs or products that are actually built for developers and scientists.
Super interesting. What platforms is it for? I've seen YouTube. Is it focused on YouTube? Are there other platforms that you're going to look at as well?
This is just the start. We're launching with the 3 agents, and in the next coming weeks, we have more announcements to make. And really, the idea is for this to be your creative platform that allows you, and you have the agentic, obviously, workforce that you collaborate with, no matter where you're deploying the content. So that's really key as it relates to, kind of, you don't want to think about, okay, how do I actually kind of create content for YouTube? Like, the agents, they collaborate with you. They know what's good for YouTube. They know what's good for Instagram. They know what's good for TikTok. And we're excited about the rollout across, all these platforms, of course.
Absolutely. Because even if you're fully focused or almost fully focused on YouTube, you're probably releasing some shorts or something like that as reels or as
Sure.
on TikTok or something like that, right? So
Absolutely.
It makes a ton of sense. How hard is onboarding? I mean, because an agent doesn't just automatically know you, or does it? I mean, do you release it on your channel and let it go nuts? Do you have to spend some time with it and let it know, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I do? Do you have a conversation? Do you load it up with a lot of material? What do you do?
The onboarding is very simple. You include your link to your channel. It takes, a bit of time for it to learn, not too much time. We're talking about minutes for it to learn everything about your channel, your audience, everything about those engagements and all the KPIs that really matter. And then as you end up using the platform, it also understands, how you go about your creative workflow. So then that creative workflow gets far more customized the more you use, obviously, the platform, because it gets more and more intelligent about understanding your process. And I think I love that, because at the end of the day, we all have different capabilities and different interests. Someone may really don't like engaging with their community and may want to really lean into in terms of working with Zara to really help them understand that. Or you may really like that research element about understanding trends, but you may have some sort of a creative block where you want to understand, okay, what would it be that my audience would really appreciate as far as what I would be creating for my next video. So I think we really want to make sure that the platform is personalized and proactive in that way. And I would say when it comes to, the interaction with the platform, we wanted to make it so it's as effortless as possible. Because if you think about it, there's a big gap between, as we talk about the foundational models and the human brain. And really what the idea for MAID is to really bridge that gap and make the experience to be a very, very, very human experience. We're excited because, as you know, it's the launch, and we're going to have a lot of exciting updates in the coming weeks and the coming months. And part of that is really increasing that magic of onboarding and the overall experience when it comes to our UI, UX, in terms of how our visionary creators are going to be interacting with obviously their team members. And I
Okay,
think,
cool.
Jack, one of the things that is also important, sorry, my apologies, but it's about how do you actually look at the vision of, where we are with these foundational models and what's going to happen where we get to super intelligence. And I'm
Hmm.
not talking about AGI, I'm talking about ASI, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when we get there, because really the ultimate problem with AGI is that alignment, and I think going back to the point that you made, it's just this whole notion that the generalist titans that we're all familiar with, they're struggling to align the massive intelligence with the abstract human value. And that is almost like an impossible task. So we're really trying to provide an optimal and very much so a safe protocol for that integration.
Okay, cool. Maybe let's generalize here a little bit for creators, but also beyond creators. What does this sort of thing say about the future of work?
So I think if you think about it, I was actually asked this question just a couple of days ago, where they said, "What's the role of the creators? Right? What's the future of creativity and for creators look like?" And I would tell every creator that generative AI is, really, as we talked about, is taking some of the chores away from you. But really, what we want to do, we want to make sure that creators become these visionaries in chiefs, where you now really are focusing 100% of your time only on the assets that matter, which is really your unique imagination.
Hmm. Hmm.
And and we take care of like the logistics, so you can actually go and create, which is kind of very, very important. And I think when it comes to, for example, going back to generative AI, where we are with it, in terms of getting to AGI and ASI and future of jobs, I think what's important is really for us to pay attention to the human signal, right? If you
Hmm.
think about in a world where you're flooded with AI generated noise, what our goal is with MAID is to become that strategic anchor that really certifies and amplifies the authentic human signal. So what we're doing is we're building the rails for the purpose-driven economy where the unique genius, not just the volume, would dictate value, which is what's happening now. And I think to add to that, it's also what we want to do is we want to future-proof the human purpose. Because when AGI automates nearly all cognitive labor, right? The economy would shift to services that are centered around vision, around empathy, and really about human taste. And
Mm.
what we want to do with MAID is we want to ensure that the one thing that AGI cannot automate is that original human creative impulse, which is the most efficient and it's the most scalable economic unit in the world. And it's our goal is to basically guarantee the economic relevance of the human soul. Really, that's it.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, cool. And do you have your own virtual team?
We sure do. We sure do. I do as well. And, we also are building, internally, because look, I care about, our workforce. We just saw Amazon, they did the 10% layoffs a couple days ago. So I really want to make sure that we are actually making every individual team member across our org far more efficient. So we
Mhm.
started this thing 2.5 years ago, where we started also building Made for Teams. So if we have, for example, individuals across the org that are managing, for example, enterprise accounts, and I think what makes us, very unique is that, over the last year and a half, we had tremendous success in terms of working with enterprise clients, where we're providing them managed solutions, leveraging MAID, leveraging these agents. And we're proud because we've been able to actually drive great success in terms of generating tens of billions of views, driving revenue from 400 to 1,200%. And why is it that this has been possible is because we've been able to actually really empower our team with Made for Team members. And we're working with really substantial clients, whether that is Sony Pictures, Universal Pictures, Warner Music, to be able to really bring them scale, get them closer to audiences, help them manage their fandom, and really grow the libraries and engagement associated with those libraries.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for taking this time.
Of course. I would say, Jack, if I were to just give a closing statement, if you don't mind, I just want to make sure. I mean, we've kind of have talked a lot about many products, tools. And what I like to say is that we're not just a platform, and we're an existential bet on human purpose, and we're building that autonomous infrastructure that really would make the future of creativity inevitable. And other generalists that you're familiar with are building the infrastructure of intelligence, and we're building the interface between really that intelligence and the human soul. So this is not just about winning an AI race, but it's about guaranteeing that the relevance and the prosperity of the human race in the world is what we're actually creating. So I'm very excited about that. The team is very excited about that, and we're happy that we had the opportunity to share this with you.